Alright, so I just wanted to give a brief recap of the 3 tabs that I covered, just to kind of just establish what we went over. So the comp eval page, that's going to be inputting a competency, and make sure to select the correct type and the correct study. So you just set all your parameters here, make sure that you have a mandatory and a mandatory, otherwise it's not going to give you that form that I showed in the other video. This is the one that you want. So remember to always write down the accession number, and then input it here because that's a new thing. And then feel free to write comments to just kind of back up the yes or the no that you're giving, especially in this area. This area is mainly for you. The image critique and post-processing is just letting them know that you know that your competency is good enough. And so even if you say yes, just say why you think, it was restricted, etc., etc. The more comments is always, it shows that you're learning, and that you know why you're entering a competency. And then technical factors utilized, I don't know if I really emphasized where this information is coming from, but this information is going to be coming from each single x-ray that you take on your x-ray machine, wherever you're going. So after you take an image, there should be either on the image itself or on a little bar at the bottom on the x-ray workstation is where you'll find your KVP and mass for each image. And photocells, this is not something that's going to be on the image. This is just information that you're going to have to figure out per particular equipment. Mainly the things that will be on your images are the KVP, the mass, and the EI number. And time of exam, I always used the packs. So after finishing it and getting the accession number and getting all my information, I like to go to the pack system at the hospital, wherever you're at, and just input the accession to, 1, make sure that you put down the correct accession, and 2, to check the time of what time it shows in the pack system, because depending on the hospital, I've had hospitals show the time of exam being when the order first came out, and then I've also had time of exam in the packs when we finished charging the exam. So time of exam can vary per hospital, so just always grab that accession number and look it up real quick to just make sure that it's there, it's the correct patient, correct images, and that you get your time. So yeah, like I said, pretty much these 3 things are going to be on each image, so if you are comping something, just make sure that you get those that information. Everything else is just going to be per hospital, this is per exam, per imaging system, whatever. So we're going to be moving on. So that was the comp evals, and then reports page. Remember, you can just change any date that you want, any clinical site that you want. Time totals is going to see your total hours and days that you've completed. So let's say you need to, check on how many hours you've done or how many hours you have left. You can just always scroll down here and check and calculate. And remember, unapproved ones do not count, so you kind of have to manually add those into your total if you are calculating your time and hours and everything. Skill summary, remember that's going to be the looking up all of your competencies and which ones have been put in or not. So there's the one that we put in yesterday, and it still, of course, hasn't been approved. So grayed out is unapproved or just hasn't been looked at. And then blue has been approved and it's in your system and on your record and ready to go. And so that's all your competencies. And of course, I opened up my dates. So once again, if you wanted to just look at a specific date, you could just change the dates here. Daily log sheet is sort of like the same thing like this daily log sheet, except that it shows a list of everything. It shows even all the comments you made, the repeat form that you inputted. So if you click on the eyeball, it's going to pop up your repeat form that you inputted. It's going to show who reviewed the daily log that you put in. Most of the time it'll be your CI who reviewed it, because they'll be the ones who will be approving it. most of the time, and then it'll show like your level and all that. And then if you wanted to click summary, this is where I showed you where you can look at your total hours of fluoro and your total hours of OR to kind of establish where you are and how many hours that you've gained, so you can start comping on fluoro and OR. So these 2 pages are really helpful, mainly this one when you need to see how many hours that you've had for that specific area. And then yeah, these last 2 tabs, like I said, we don't really use these, but if you just need to check if something needs to be completed, or if something has been completed and you just want to see, those are those 2 tabs, and you just click whatever specific template you want to look at, and then proceed from there. And then once again, send email if you want to just contact Laura or any CI or your clinical coordinator through Trajecsys. I would mainly do this just for a Trajecsys problem, but once again, like I said, usually just use school email, or if it's urgent, and it has to do something with your clinical site, get your contact information from your CI in more reliable ways than to send an email through here. Like I said, the only reason I had emails sent through here was my CI was telling me about a competency that I put in. Other than that, it was mainly through school email that we contacted, or I even just texted everyone. So pretty lax. But yeah, that is the end of my tutorials. So thanks for listening.